long time no see. Hey everyone, what's up? How has your world changed since I saw you like 3 minutes ago? Or maybe you're just tuning in now. But I did the last stream as well, so it's kind of just like nonstop Sam on Adobe Live for the end of the year, because, you know, why not? So we're back again with another stream with a different topic, and we're going to be exploring new things that I actually think are going to be really fun, and we're just going to have fun with this last stream of the year. Oh my gosh. Someone said that in the chat earlier. Last stream of the year. That's insane. Wow. But we're going to have fun with it, and it's going to be great. So hello, everyone. Jack, hello again. Monsieur, Tim, how's it going? Oh my god, Tim just said, final stream of the decade. How does it feel? That's a good question. I have no idea. I feel good. How do you feel? What's your emotional state right now? Can you tell me about your emotional state? I'm feeling thrilled, feeling like pumped to show you some really fun things in XD. So I'm known on the team, on the XD design team. And in this segment, feel free to ask me anything about like what it's like to work at Adobe, what it's like to be a designer working on XD, making prototypes of prototypes for prototyping. Like, let's jump into all of it. All of it. We're solving all the problems today. Maybe not all of them. But I'm kind of known on the team to be like kind of pushing XD into weird, wacky, and wild new directions. I also love alliteration. Could you tell? Tim says, also always hoping for some secret sneaks, but no pressure. Unfortunately, today I don't have any sneaks for you, but I can guarantee you I have things that I will show you that you've never seen before. So that'll be fun. And this is like, a lot of this is working with XD in a way that I don't think a lot of people know that you can work with XD in this particular way. So it's going to be a blast. I like doing things that you wouldn't think are possible. I made a game in XD the other day. All this stuff that I can't even tell you because like unreleased features and really fun prototyping things. Oh, can I just tell you that 2020 XD prototyping? Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. There's so much in store. Oh, I wish I could tell you everything, but I can't. Okay. Richard says he's feeling exhilarated. That's amazing. That's great. I'm glad you're feeling exhilarated. I think that's a good word. I also feel exhilarated. Do you want like a sneak peek at least into the next half hour? I brought this. Look, this is my MIDI controller. It is hooked up to my computer right now. And I have recently been like trying to mess around with making music and doing crazy things with, I don't know, just random things. So I got this just to mess around with like GarageBand and other things. Make some fun noises and use it as a controller, as an input for XD. What did Sam just say? Oh my god. Yes, we are going to look at how we can do things like use this to control XD, which is going to be really fun. Tim is saying, oh, dropping some sick beats. Yeah, we could drop some sick beats if we want. if that's how you feel so inclined. So we're going to be using that. Most of the time when I use it, you're actually not going to be seeing me use it, which is kind of unfortunate because we only have one camera angle in this studio. In the San Francisco studio, we can do this cool thing where we do like the over-the-shoulder shot, and you can actually see me pressing the keys. But I'll just hold it up for you and kind of just show you the old-fashioned ways. Tim says, beatboxing with keyboard triggers and voice output in XD. That's a great idea. One of these days, you guys are going to see me beatbox. Maybe today. Who knows? Okay. But I think the key idea here is that we're going to have fun. Okay. So you all know, hopefully, maybe, if you don't, that's okay, that you can use keyboard as an input to trigger interactions in XD. What that means is that I can set up a prototype that basically just when I press a key, and I can assign whatever key I want, like the N key. And if I press the N key, then it's going to do something. It'll do whatever the blue wire tells it to do. And so that is like the foundational logic for what we're doing today, because we are going to be using that to kind of hack around XD in a way that actually supports this guy. So normally, if you plug this in, your computer is not going to read it as a keyboard. Therefore, XD won't read it as a keyboard either. But we want, in this, today we're actually going to trick XD into thinking that's a keyboard. Well, it is a keyboard, but a different kind of keyboard. This is so confusing. But we're going to give it a computer keyboard key mapped to the musical keyboard key, and basically we can use the piano as a keyboard, as a computer keyboard, if that makes sense. Are we getting meta enough for you right now? Are you meta enough? Are we meta enough? So let me show you one thing that I made. Okay, let's show you one thing that I made. Here's a document, and I wanted to make a dial, and I made all these different positions of the dial, and they progress forward and backward. If we go to prototype mode, there's a lot of wires here, but basically if we look at it, the B key will take it back. So this one, it'll take it back to the previous state, and then the the N key will take it to the next state. So what that looks like is that if you were looking at the B and the N keys are right next to each other on your keyboard. So what that looks like is if I do N and I keep pressing that, it'll just like go from state to state, and there I have a dial, which is pretty fun. And so that's the basic principle of how. Isn't that fun? That's fun. How we do keyboard prototyping in XD. And that's just mapped up through the wires here. Look, our trigger's key and gamepad. Key is B. And action auto animate. It's a really fast 0.07 seconds because we want it to be like super snappy. And it's just going from one to the next. Pretty cool, right? And then I wanted to take this to the next step because let me show you something. Okay, on this guy, there are dials at the top here. Look, I'll go back to my main shot so you can see zoomed in. There are dials at the top. And so I actually want to map that number 1 dial, to actually press those N and B keys in XD, so that I can actually just use this to control the prototype. Because why not? Because we can have a dial that's changing a digital, like a physical dial changing a digital dial. So that's one thing that we can do. It's kind of complex. There's another thing that I did, and we're kind of relying on a piece of software here called, we'll get to GarageBand is open, if you noticed. We'll get to that later. We're relying on this piece of software called Better Touch Tool, and that's what we're actually using to map the MIDI output, MIDI, MIDI output from this musical instrument, this thing, right, onto the computer. And it's this tool that's mapping, oh, that's a MIDI press, we're going to change that to a keyboard press. Does that make sense? It's called like mapping. And so what that looks like is that, and this tool allows you to automate like a million other things as well, which is really fun. You can do gesture-based. So it's not only managing inputs from external things like a keyboard, but you can also do gesture-activated output and input, and you can do like keyboard shortcuts and like you name it. You can do some really wild things to trigger keyboard shortcuts and many other things with this app. It's like a automation haven in a way. So I have this one set up for gestures, for recording and drawing gestures. And basically, it's doing the same thing. For this one, I'm going to turn back on our keycaster. Yeah, we're going to start casting, and I'm going to move it over to this side. Okay, we need it for this one. And so basically, I have a drawing trigger. So if I press with 4 fingers on my trackpad, look what happens. I get this gray box, and I can draw with my trackpad. And what I've told it is that if I draw a circle, press the C button. Do you see that? Look, circle goes to C. You see that in the corner? It's actually doing a digital keyboard press on my keyboard, physical computer keyboard. So it's simulating that press. If I do a triangle, then it'll press T. And what this means is that because we can have all those keys actually wired up in XD, we can open this up and tap with the fingers and then draw a shape. So I can tap with my fingers, draw a circle. It presses C and it shows the circle. It expands the circle. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't showing the screen. Oh my God. My bad. But basically, okay. Let me since I failed to show you the screen for the past minute or so. Here's what I was doing. But basically, let's show Better Touch tool here. Zoom out. Okay. Desktop. Okay. Where's Better Touch tool? Better Touch tool. And this is how we're mapping those inputs and outputs. Sorry for that little mix up there. But this software, it's for Mac only, but there's similar software actually for PC that you can use to map MIDI controls to keyboard shortcuts, which are pretty fun to play around with. So there's lots of ways. This is what I was talking about. There's lots of different inputs. Look, this is the MIDI one that we're using, but there's lots of other inputs that you can use to trigger kind of whatever you want. In this instance, we're triggering things via the keyboard, or to the keyboard. We're using one keyboard to trigger another, different types of keyboards. Maybe I'm just going to call the musical one just piano. Maybe I'm just going to say piano from now on. But basically, I have this one for drawing and mouse gestures where I have all these shapes set up that when I draw them with my mouse, it'll press a key. So look, if I draw a triangle, it's going to press a T. If I draw a circle, it'll press C on the keyboard. If I draw a square, it'll do R, and a squiggle, it'll do S. And so what that looks like, because I have this prototype wired up to all of those keys, when I press with 4 fingers, I actually changed it to 4 fingers, not 3 fingers, I get this drawing mode, right, where I can draw a shape. And then if we initiate it here, there we go, I draw a circle, and it presses C, and it invokes the circle, because that's how it's wired up. Isn't that fun? Okay. I can draw a square, and it shows me the square, because it's pressing R. I can draw a squiggle, and it'll show me the squiggle. And this is really fun, and it's just using 2 pieces of software, just working with one another. XD and Better Touch tool. So that's a lot of fun. I can just play around with this all day. Just invoking that drawing gesture and doing fun things like that. Let me show you how I did the dial one, because the dial one's pretty fun. And then we're going to, with the rest of the stream, we're going to try to make a musical one that involves GarageBand as well. So there's going to be 3 pieces of software working at the same time. Whew, okay, but basically, in Better Touch tool, what I've done is if I go, we can assign shortcuts on a per app basis, right? If you're getting lost, let me know, and I'll try to break this down. But I have these keys here. I have a bunch of other ones because I've been playing around. But N and B. Remember, N goes next, B goes back, and then basically, I'm recognizing a MIDI event. That means something happening on that musical piano happening, and then something's going to result as a part of that. So it's a trigger and an action, just like XD actually. And so each event is represented with a number, and you can configure that in here by just pressing a key, and it shows you which number is associated with that key. And so in this case, it's 191 is the command, and the note is 21 for that first dial, that one that I showed you at the top. And then trigger if value is x greater than previous value, 5. So if the value is greater than 5, then the last number it registered, it will press N. This is the action here. select a predefined action or keyboard shortcut, and it's just pressing N. So that means if I increase it by 5, it's going to press N, thus going to the next screen. And it's the same thing on the B, but if it's X smaller than previous value, 5. So if I decrease that knob by a value of 5, and there's like a million values within that one dial, then it'll send a B keyboard press. And what that means is, because I have it all wired up here in XD, I'll show you this. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this at the same time, but I'm going to adjust this first knob, and you'll notice it goes up if I turn it up, and it goes down if I turn it down. Pretty cool, right? And you can see in the bottom corner, that's that app I'm using to showcase what keys are being pressed. So you can see that it's actually simulating those key presses in the bottom right hand corner. That's not XD. Pretty cool, right? And I also I made some additional ones, so if I reach the max, it'll always go to the end, and if I reach the bottom, it'll always go to the first slide, first artboard. And so that's really fun. It's it works really well, actually, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, so you can make some really fun physically controlled prototypes. Someone actually, I'll show you on Twitter. Or actually, no, I probably can't pull it up right now. I'm going to have to log in. It's going to be a whole ordeal. But these people who, let's show you something pretty fun. Let's go to Safari. Safari, here we go. Okay, so Monogram. So these guys were actually tweeting, and we had like this back and forth where they have these physical controls, and these can be also mapped to keyboard output. So basically, like, you can have these do things on your keyboard and change keyboard shortcuts. And they were showing how they did something very similar to what I just showed you, but with their controls. And so they were showing some like how you can hack around with XD and keyboard shortcuts just with their controls. They're coming out with some new ones, it looks like, but that's their deal. It's like creative tooling, having these physical controls that you can control XD with, not only just for prototyping, but for just operating XD in general. So I actually have, okay, you're going to hear some music because I also have GarageBand open. And I'm actually going to pause the music on the stream because from now on, we're actually going to be, okay, music paused. Here we go. And that's just GarageBand. It'll register any kind of keyboard output. Jack is asking, what's the name of that software again? It's called Better Touch Tool. Better, that's it. Better Touch Tool. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna hear some music now, just because it's open in the background. Because why not? And so when I press, I've also made some additional mappings. So if I press this one, this first key, it zooms in. So let's zoom out again. And if I press this first key, it zooms to 100%. And it's actually doing something on release as well. It's going back to fit the whole selection there. And it happens to be making music. It sounds. I'm gonna turn off this key casting there, so it's not annoying me. And so I've also set up some other ones, like if we need to quickly just jump to 100%, that's that button. So it'll only work when I'm to get to 100%. And then there's also zoom in and zoom out. Isn't that fun? Yeah, pretty cool. And so, like, you could have this by your side. In fact, I do all the time when I'm designing. And I just, not with the sound, of course. I mean, maybe if my headphones are on. But, you know, just, like, using it as a productivity tool to, do I have that one mapped? No. But just, like, quickly zoom to your selection or zoom in and zoom out. Because right now they're kind of complicated keyboard shortcuts, right? But, you know, maybe we can do more advanced things. And then the last thing that I want to do, that I'm going to try to do is we're going to make like a music machine of sorts, because GarageBand is running in the background with all these fun sounds, that we can also have XD running and responding to those key presses, right? So, okay, so if I map, we don't have much time, but if I map this one, let's say, okay, let's go back. Let's make a new MIDI trigger. We're going to auto configure using, let's use that one. And look, it's showing me that I used key 57. And we're going to have this trigger, let's do note on, because the last trigger is actually showing me the up press. And we get actually control over the down press and the up press. So we want the up press to press, let's say, Q. I don't think I'm just going to use the numbers because I don't know if I'm using Q already. So I'm going to use send keyboard shortcut, do 1. And then I'm also going to make another one for, which one was that? That was 57. There is that one. And then I'm going to use the note off. That means the key going up. And I'm going to have that go back. I'm going to do 0. Oops. Ooh, no. Keyboard shortcut 0. And that's going to go back to the home screen. And so what that will look like in XD is that if I do a wire up to this artboard, I have some really cool sound waves. And I'll do key and gamepad. We're going to do 1 to go to that screen. And then 0. We're going to do 0 to go back. And we're going to make this a really short 0.04 seconds transition for each of these. 0.04. And so now, theoretically, it kind of worked. It worked for the first half. It might have been too fast for it to catch that second key press. Let's brainstorm this a little bit more. Pressing 1 on the way there and pressing 0 on the way back. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, no, it's still not working. Let's open Keycaster so we can actually see what is happening. I'll put it in the top right corner. How about? Okay. Oh, it's aligned to back. It's doing backspace. Okay, let's change that. We're working through our problems in real time here. Oh, yeah, we don't want back. We want 0. There we go. You probably caught that before I did. Okay, now let's open it again. Oh, that's so cool. And we can map those for each note. Oh, isn't that so cool? And it's just pressing 1 and 0 on the keyboard. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so I didn't prepare this ahead of time, so this is the first time I'm actually doing this. So that's why I'm so excited, because I just kind of hoped that it would work out on the stream. We could do this for another one. Let's do it for another one. We only have a few minutes left here, so let's do. We did this one, right? So let's do the next one. Oh, this one shows all. That button shows all the keyboard presses, and let's do auto configure. Okay, let's do that one. Let's do note on. Let's have that trigger the 2 press. And then let's make another one. It was that one, right? I think my musical hearing isn't the best. And let's do auto configure. Yeah, that's the one that we want. And that's key up. And we'll do that go to 0 again. That'll go back. And so if we wire that back in XD, where we do another key press, but this time 2, and then on the way back 0, because 0 is going to be on our way back as well, we'll notice that those sine waves actually go bigger. Oh, let's, okay. Isn't that fun? And so, like, just because GarageBand is running in the background, it's also just looking at those. And we could go forward with the other ones. Unfortunately, I only have like a minute left, so I think you get the idea. But we can actually make a whole like instrument, and we could do more animations. You know, you can have a lot of fun with it. That's a lot of fun. I'll show you just one more time what's going on here. Basically, it's that one, and it's just happening. And look, when I release, it goes back because those are separate keyboard actions. And I'm just pressing keys all over the place now. I'm out of time. Everyone, Munir wants to be a XD DJ master. You totally can be. It's not too hard. You just need some weird, funky pieces of software, and you need to know how to work them. Oof! It's been an hour of streaming. Oh my gosh! Because I've done 2 streams now, and we're doing some really fun things that, honestly, I don't think has ever been done before. So we're breaking into new territory here. And this was the last stream of the decade. So I'll see you all back in 2020, where even more things with XD will continue to happen. We're just gonna have a blast. It's gonna be a great year for XD. It's gonna be a great year for Adobe Live. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. But until then, I'll be active on Discord, where I showcased on my last stream. You can talk to me on there. I'm on Twitter at sam.design, SAMDOTDESIGN. Dot is spelled out. Sam.design is where I am on social media, and you can reach me there when I'm not streaming. And, I hope you all have just the best holidays in the world. It's going to be a blast. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this stream of hacking with our prototypes using keyboard triggers and XD. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you, everyone, Richard, Tim, Munir, Jack, and everyone else that has tuned in and is watching all of this unfold. I really appreciate your participation. Happy holidays, everyone. I'll be back in the new year, I'm sure. Not sure when yet, but we'll figure it out. Okay, everyone. Peace out. Bye-bye.